First time using GoToMeeting with my brand new computer, so I'm just figuring everything out. All right, there we go. Sweet, we are in business. Look at that, we are in business. Nice. All right, let me go ahead and pull up some of our trading strategies for today. Got our PitView Live trading room. Actually, this is the wrong one, but this is the only one that I transferred over, but that's okay. We'll still go through some swing and scalping strategies. Have to change the date on this. We'll still look at some of our trades from the other day. Actually, had some great trades from yesterday also. 2015. We'll go through some trading here. All right. All right, so January 28th, 2015. Let's first take a look at what's been shaking in the markets a little bit. I'm looking at some hourly charts just to point out some interesting things. We will talk about some fundamentals today because, well, it's a big day for fundamentals today. I personally think there's a lot of whipsaw announcements that are coming out today, but we'll talk about those anyway. Let's start off by looking here. We'll start here on the Swiss franc. You know, there's some interesting things happening on the Swiss franc. If you were in my class yesterday, you would know that, you know, one thing I know a lot of people have been scared off of the Swiss franc as of late, mainly because of the unfixing of the exchange rate. But when you look at it, about what it's been doing over the last, especially over the last several, you know, several days, if you will, I did go long on a trade. You see where it came up and it came down and made this little double bottom formation. I went long on a trade with my students yesterday to take a longer term long position on dollar Swiss. And I'm still in two positions actually. I took a position with class yesterday when it was right down in here. And then I took another position when it broke through the double bottom. I'll explain a little bit more on that trade a little bit later, but the point I want to make on dollar Swiss right now is the fact that when you look at it overall, it really is one of those currencies to where, you know, people got scared off of it because of the strength of the, you know, not to sound repetitive, because of the strength of the Swiss franc when they unfixed their exchange rate with the euro. However, just like I've said before in class, I think that when we're looking at the Swiss, you also have to remember the negative exchange rate that they have. You know, it's certainly not good fundamentally for a currency. And I'm actually starting to lean more towards taking buy trades and buy positions on the Swiss. I already have two positions on the dollar Swiss right now. It's going to a positive 40, which would mean basically a buy for our scalping strategy. I'm not going to do that as of yet just because I already have a longer term position. In fact, I might concentrate more on euro today as far as taking more scalping type trades, and I'll talk about that also here in just a second. Some other kind of going around the horn here, let me just kind of change up to some other currency pairs that I find interesting here. Go through here, minimize that window. Dollar yen is another one that we do like to trade. I love trading swing trades on dollar yen. It's one of my favorites there. Kind of keep the pair view over here on the side. Looking at dollar yen yesterday, we had a nice little formation form on it. Dollar yen is one that I told the students that where when you look at it overall, it really is. It's finding a lot of support down here as it nears 117. Yesterday, for those who attend classes and know the Gartley pattern that we like to trade, it actually made this little ABC correction. It made an A down to approximately the 61.8% level. It made a B that came off the 61.8 and retraced between the 38.2 and 61.8% of A. And then we had a C that came down, and this is where we were having class yesterday morning. We were right down in here in this little zone, and what we were waiting for was, if you're a PitView trader As it came down in this retracement zone, you would have been looking for a +5 on the 1 hour totals, which did occur right down in here. You could have also used just a simple touch and close off the 78.6. It had already made a perfect Gartley pattern, so there was a buying opportunity on that right in here. I took that off yesterday for a nice little 70 pip gain. So that was a nice little trade on dollar yen to the upside. And you can see it's making the same type of retracement today to where we're already into a retracement zone to where we're going to be looking for some swing trades on dollar yen today. So let me go ahead and I'll delete the objects off this chart. And don't worry, we're going to come back around to all of these, by the way. We'll come back around to all of them, if you will. So let me go in here and, where's my object list? There we go. I'll delete some of these objects. Another interesting one that we were looking at the other day, let me kind of switch this up to the pound dollar. Minimize that window. If you recall the other day when we were talking, this would have been on the 26th right in here, we had this little inverted head and shoulders pattern on the pound dollar pair to where we were looking for it, as it broke above this inverted head and shoulders, we were looking for a close above this with a +5 on the pound dollar. This would have been from Monday's class. That also gave a nice little signal to the upside on the pound. This was one that we were looking to trade contrary to the overall trend. And it's also making a nice little double top formation right in here. I love reversal patterns, especially when they come at the end of sustained trends in the market. So that's another one to keep an eye out for. But this one could have right in here, if you would have put your stop right below the right shoulder, you could have been risking upwards of probably about 50 or 60 pips, maybe 70 pips, but you could have easily made a max profit on that also. So again, trading is looking pretty good as of right now with especially our swing trades. I'll talk a little bit more about scalping today also. And then the last one I want to take a look at real quick with you, right in here on the dollar CAD. Dollar CAD had been trading in this little channel right in through here, this little trending channel to the upside, and it broke down below that low yesterday. I never really did take a trade to go short here on dollar CAD. It's kind of come down in here, and you see that it's, when you look at it, it's making another little trend line in through here. What I would say, if you are short on dollar Canadian and you have your stop right up here above these highs, if it breaks through this, I would keep that little sucker on right in there. It did benefit for some rising oil prices yesterday, but you can see it's kind of been making these little consolidation runs. If you're looking for another opportunity to go short on dollar CAD, you could easily see it to a short opportunity if it goes down below these lows right in through here. So that's it as far as kind of looking at some of our past trades. We've had some good little swing trades here throughout the last several days. Oh, I'm sorry. One other one that we should probably look at is euro dollar. Let's pull that bad boy up. There we go. Euro dollar is another one when we look at on the hourly charts. This is another one that we'll be looking at today as far as shorting opportunities. You see this consolidation, this sideways consolidation here on the euro. I think that if it breaks down below these lows, I kind of figured it would stall yesterday on this little climb that it's had, mainly because of the amount of supply hitting the market of euros coming out with their QE of 60 billion a month. We're really looking at this. You can kind of see this, descending wedge pattern, if you will. You can almost call it a descending triangle, towards making subtle lower highs and lower lows. And we have this little horizontal support level in through here. So again, I think that's another one that could present some opportunities. We may be a little bit more patient if we're taking any type of scalping or short-term trades on the euro by waiting for it to break below this consolidation zone right in through here before looking for a short on that today. Now, as far as today's news goes, I want to talk about that briefly also before we go into before we go into today's strategies. Let me pull up Forex Factory. Nice little news source in through here. I've been giving a lot of thought to the news announcements coming out today because, when you get, you kind of got a back-to-back announcements coming out today. You got the FOMC statement coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then you get in New Zealand, you got their interest rate announcement, and the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's rate statement coming out right after that. So you got two central banks of two of our major currencies that we like to trade coming out within an hour of each other with their interest rate announcements. Let me pull up here real quick because let me just kind of start here with the FOMC statement. So pull this up with the FOMC statement and give you my thoughts because I've kind of changed a little bit of my view on a couple of these announcements here. The FOMC statement, unlike when we had the euro interest rate announcement, the FOMC statement, and this is my personal opinion, so opinion warning here. We are speculators. Everybody does have one of those, an opinion. But on the FOMC statement, I'm not expecting much change from the Fed from the last statement. Essentially, the Fed keeping with their vagueness of, we expect, to raise interest rates basically sometime in 2015, not giving any true guidance to it, kind of the same old that they had in the last statement. Anytime there's an interest rate announcement along with a Fed statement, especially from the FOMC, you can expect volatility, but beware the whipsaw announcement. When I say this, if you're I do think that the Fed, I do think they will, where the Fed is going, as far as what the Fed expectations are long term, long-term expectations, I do think favor U.S. dollar strength. However, if you're in a short-term trade, whenever we're expecting more neutrality, if you will, there's three ways an FOMC announcement can be made. It can either an FOMC statement. It can either be hawkish, dovish, or neutral. Hawkish being good for the economy, therefore good for the dollar. Dovish, bad for the economy, bad for the dollar. And neutral kind of being just a same old statement. I'm expecting more of a neutral statement from them, which can often lead to some of the pairs going up a lot, going down a lot, and then kind of winding up exactly where they started. I do think the announcement overall will end up, whenever you're expecting anything neutral from the market, essentially what your thought process is, well, if something is neutral, then what should prevail? The prevailing trend is generally the continuation of the prevailing trend is generally what would favor the trend after a news announcement such as that, with the actual prevailing trend right now being dollar strength, essentially. So just beware of the whipsaw announcement. You may want to consider close short-term trades before the announcement. But if you have swing trades on, keep them open, knowing that there could be some volatility over the short term. We'll take a look at that here again as we go through some of our strategies here for the day. As far as the RBNZ statement, this is also another whipsaw announcement. Their last statement, they were hawkish unexpectedly in their last announcement. The fear with the Reserve Bank of New Zealand today is, since Canada last week unexpectedly lowered their interest rates, there is some fear that RBNZ could lower rates. There's also my personal opinion. They will keep a neutral bias, which should favor a strong NZD. And when I say neutral, I mean a neutral which, if their last one was hawkish, it means kind of maintain their hawkish bias. I don't think they're going to lower interest rates. The more I've looked and studied this RBNZ announcement, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, it's all over the map as far as expectations. There's people that think they could lower rates. There's some people thinking that, okay, they're just going to maintain their neutral hawkish bias. And then there's a small contingent of people out there that actually think that they could actually raise rates this time around. Their inflation in New Zealand and their growth still favors them raising interest rates by at least 40 basis points based on their current economic situation. So both of these announcements right in here, I think today, you got to be I don't have an opinion one way or another as far as direction. I do think that we should, if they do maintain a neutral hawkish bias on New Zealand, then after the announcement, we could probably even look into the possibility of looking at long positions on New Zealand just because of their higher interest rate position. I think that anything that's neutral or hawkish could favor New Zealand's strength. So that's the way I would lean on the New Zealand announcement, is New Zealand strength. And on the FOMC announcement, I would lean towards dollar strength, if you will. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll go through some trading strategies here for today. But those are my thoughts on the news announcements. Unlike the European Central Bank announcement last week, where we went short on a position before the news came out, I don't really have the confidence to say, okay, let's go long the dollar before the announcement, or let's go long New Zealand before the announcement. I just don't. There's too much uncertainty or neutral bias surrounding these two, which I think always equates into more of a whipsaw effect in the market. So if you've been following me for a while, sometimes I'll have a feel for things to where we'll go, we'll put in trades like right before the announcement and look for, and sometimes I'll give you all trades to say, okay, for example, go in 5 minutes before the Draghi press conference after the European Central Bank interest rate announcement. Go in 5 minutes before the press conference, short the euro dollar, put in a 50 pip stop, 50 pip limit, because I think this thing's going to go down, which was correct last week. Other times, if I'm unsure, I don't want to just roll the dice on something that I don't have a large amount of confidence on. Hopefully that makes sense. So speaking of the RBNZ announcement, before we get into any scalping strategies here this morning, let me pull up New Zealand dollar. There we go. One thing I found interesting on New Zealand right in through here is the fact that, you look at New Zealand, the way it's kind of turning in through here, and this is New Zealand versus the dollar. It made this little inverted head and shoulders pattern right in through here, where you can see here's the left shoulder, right shoulder, here's the peak or the trough in the middle, and it broke through that little reversal pattern on the downside. And you can see even longer term, it's kind of rounding out. It's now making, subtle little higher highs and higher lows. When looking at New Zealand, I think that, trades that I'll probably be looking for after the announcement comes out. Here, let me actually go to New Zealand yen here. Like New Zealand yen right in through here, you see how much the yen has declined. And New Zealand yen is always one that we really enjoy trading. And I'm looking at this also, and this made kind of another little reversal pattern here near the bottom, and you see it's floating right near this resistance level right in through here. It's been another one that's been making kind of these subtle little higher highs and higher lows with a horizontal resistance level. after the announcement, if we can see if New Zealand yen can make a nice little play to the upside here and break through this resistance level, and if we can see some market maker activity favoring that, you see it's a New Zealand yen is already at a +7 as far as the 1 hour totals. If we can make a close above these levels, this is the only one that I might consider, since it's a dollar neutral trade, as a swing trade today before the announcement. So keep an eye out on this resistance level right in through here. We'll come back to this one after class because the New Zealand yen has had some nice little upward movement here, and it is coming into that resistance level right there. All right, so let's go into, now that we've kind of done some hypothetical little trading scenarios here, and this is an interesting one that I'll revisit here towards the end of class. Let's go through some that I think have some legs, if you will. All right, let me start off here on dollar yen. Dollar yen right in through here, again, it's been coming down, it's been finding support, it came down again. It hasn't made necessarily, I mean, it's damn near a Gartley pattern right in here where we have an A, a B, and a C correction. But on dollar yen today, what I would favor doing here on this particular pair is I would favor going long dollar yen today. It's already come up through, it's already came down into the retracement zone right down in through here. In fact, let me zoom in on this chart a little bit more just so you can kind of remove a little bit of the noise. So it's already come down into what we call the retracement zone. So retracement zone. We're looking for buying opportunities on dollar yen today. You know, it's already come up. It made almost a 3-drive pattern right up in here to the top, came back down. It's already come down into the retracement zone. It's already made a touch and close out of that area. However, if we're looking at it right now, if we want to be a little bit more cautious, what we can do is I'm going to pull down the pair view here. We're going to keep an eye on these 1 hour totals on dollar yen. You see it's at a -1.82 right now. We should all be aware on the yen as of right now that it's gonna trade risk off, which means stocks up, yen will go down, or stocks up, dollar yen goes up, stocks down, dollar yen goes down, which is generally how it's been reacting throughout the U.S. sessions anyway, and the majority of the sessions. So our buy entry here, depending on where these lows come in, I think if you're looking for a nice little swing trade here on dollar yen today, your buy entry will be a +5.0 on the 1 hour totals. Wait for the market makers to start acquiring this and bidding the dollar versus the yen up. So look for a +5.0 in the 1 hour totals. That's worked out well for us twice in a row now. Twice in a row, if you would have followed the last 2 dollar yen trades, they would have been good for, at the very least, you would have had at least 50 to 60 pips in each trade. Going back to last week, if you add those 2 trades together, you should have been good for at least 120 pips total. So +5 on the 1 hour T is certainly something that I would look at for a buy entry. Depending on where the buy entry occurs, if we do get a retracement further down deeper into the retracement zone, let's say if we're about down here, and you'll have to listen closely here because the initial stop I'll give you on this is if it's still trading up here and goes to +5, I would say go ahead and buy it. Only instead of putting your stop way down here below the 100% retracement level, I would favor putting our stop right down here, right below this swing low. So where's that low at? 117.543. So stop at 117.533. And then looking for a limit based on where your entry is, look for a limit of but just look for a 1-to-1 risk reward on this. It's been going kind of sideways, so now we can say there might be an opportunity to scale out a little bit more on this dollar yen trade if it does come down deeper into the retracement zone. If it's down here right near the, if it goes down, let's say the markets start to pummel out today and this continues, the 1 hour T stays negative and this continues down into this level, then you might, yes, you might consider the fact that the deeper and closer you are to 78.6 when you get a buy on this, then yes, put your stop below this low right in here to give you a little bit more cushion. But as long as it stays within these levels right in here, the 38.2 and 61.8, I would say just go ahead and take it on a +5 and work it from there. So let me go in here. Go and add that to our little Word document here. And that's on the 1 hour time frame. And I'll clean that up a little bit more here in just a second. I had to do the print screen on that, the copy the screen, because I don't have my snipping tool available because I just got this computer yesterday and I'm not that familiar with Windows 8.1. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's pull our chart back up. So we'll keep dollar yen up on there. As far as scalping strategies today, I'll get into some other swing trades here, but one of the other ones that I like a lot today is the euro dollar. And I'm going to change this to a 1 hour chart for right now. And you see this little resistance level right in through here. Now I do favor going short the euro dollar today if we're looking for any type of scalping types of trades. Like right now we can see it's at a -20. At this point, we have two options here whenever we're looking at these types of strategies. It's going to a -20. So if you were looking at, let's say, your 5-minute chart on here and you see that it's breaking down a bit, you can go ahead if you wanted to and just go with a -20 and to go for your scalping strategy. It's kind of a hybrid trade right in through here when I look at this euro dollar, because I do like to look at sometimes the longer time frames, and a lot of times the whipsaws that we can often see in the market is based on the fact that we rub up against these types of support levels right in through here, and oftentimes even if we get a sell off like a -20 on the 5-minute totals, oftentimes we can run into some trouble because it'll come down to these support levels because that's where it's been consolidating and then run right back up. And be a little bit more, if we wanted to be a little bit more cautious on this, is I would look for sell trades on scalping on the euro dollar today. But I'm gonna do it a little bit different. This is a little bit discretion here that I'm using as far as what we're looking for. So let me go back here to the 5-minute time frame and kind of show you what I'm looking at. For scalp trades on euro dollar today, here I can go ahead and I'll bring this down here and I'll move this up here. For scalp trades on the euro dollar today, I would say take sell trades. You can either do it as a long term, like a swing trade, or a short term scalp trade. But I would look for your sell entry you see how it came down near that support level and it's starting to rise back up again. It doesn't matter what indicator you use. I don't care if it's PitView, I don't care if it's a MACD, a stochastic, or any other magical little indicator that people use. When things are confounded to a tight range in the market, oftentimes you're going to see them oscillate inside that range. So what I would look for here is a close below the support and a -20 on the 5-minute totals. This may not be what we would call a scalp trade, because on scalp trades we'll generally just take sells and buys and sells and buys and sells and buys and make it continuous. But if it does close below the support level right in through here, which is right at like the 113 level, that would be a good entry for me if this does go to a -20. So look out for that. What I might do is that the stops, I think you have two options on your stop orders. If you're just wanting to do a short-term type of scalping trade, which would last, if it does break through that support level, it could be upwards of 25 pips. If you get a sell in, you could always just go right above the previous swing high and put your stop right up above this swing high right in here. One-to-one risk reward. The other option as far as a stop order would go on this, and let me zoom out a little bit more, is if it does, and I am still looking at the 5-minute chart on here, if it does happen to, let me swing this thing over, it's always getting blocked by the GoToWebinar controls. If you wanted to go a little bit longer term though, you can go, you don't have to go all the way up to the high of the day, if you will. But if we do get any type of break, you can look for more profit, if you will. You could also put your stop right up above this level. We might call that what we call an optional stop. The optional stop order is to put it a little bit further away, because it has been consolidating so much. When you look at it on the 1-hour time frame, if you wanted to look at it from more of a, where should we put our stops and limits on the longer term time frame, if we do get a close beneath this support level, and I do mean this support level, this is kind of the most common area of support right in through here, then you could almost look at it as a swing trade, to where you can put your stop above these highs right up in here and treat it more like a swing trade type of strategy. That's what I was actually looking for here, sorry. It all depends on how long you want to hold it. If you want to go for more of a short-term play, looking for, here I can take that back to the 5-minute chart again. All we got to do is kind of bring this down a bit. Zoom out. There we go. So if you're looking for more of a swing type of play, you can put your stop above these earlier highs from, this was actually from the 28th, from today. For a scalping stop, if you're looking for short-term trade, short-term stop, 1 pip above that previous swing high right there. Look for a quick 10 or 20 pips, or you can treat it more like a swing trade. Either way, look for a 1-to-1 risk reward on it. If the euro dollar does break below these levels, I think you can start scalping it. Like if you hit a profit and it comes back up and goes green, and it's broken below these levels, keep on looking for shorting opportunities as long as it's below that support level. I hope that made sense, because it's a little bit different than what we usually look at when it comes to our swing type of strategies. But either way, if it does close below the support level and go to a -20, I think it's going to give you an opportunity to go short on euro dollar. But I just like to look. I would just like to find some clearance on that before we get too crazy on it. So I can go ahead and I'll copy that one down. Take sells on the -20 on the 5-minute totals. Euro dollar is still has, when volatility hits, I would say your minimum stop and profit level is of 12 pips. Alternative signals. For the euro dollar, we're going to go ahead, since we're only taking sell orders. Let me take this down. You can exit if the 5-minute total goes to +20. The volatility has calmed down quite a bit here today. So if it goes to +20, that would be a nice little exit strategy, if you will. And for your limits, look for a 1-to-1 risk reward. Maybe, hopefully, this will happen before we get out of class here today. We'll keep that on there, and then I'll put the chart here right underneath that. Dollar Swiss scalping strategy. You still got to like. Dollar Swiss is still one. I'm actually bullish on this one per my little scalping or my swing trading techniques here. If you want to scalp on Dollar Swiss, I would almost favor the long side of the equation, if you will. You can see here. I have 2 positions on Dollar Swiss. I got about 34 pips in one. About 10 pips in another. Dollar yen. Dollar yen is one to where I should probably put a stop order in on that. I think I may have accidentally entered into that one before class started, because I already took a profit. I need to revisit that. I may have accidentally put in a buy on dollar yen, or had an existing buy open for it. I got to check in on that one here in just a little bit. But let me go back here to Dollar Swiss. So I already have 2 positions open. If you were in my class yesterday, we took one position in at the market, and then I took another position once the price. I took one position yesterday when it was down at these lows, and then I took another position when it had broken through these highs. On Dollar Swiss, there's so many different ways to trade it, but I'm starting to really favor the upside of the equation on Dollar Swiss. I'm going to keep my long positions on here, because what I'm looking for here is on this first lot right in through here, the first one that I have on, I'm looking for a 1-to-1 risk reward. You see I have my stop right down below these lows. I have one lot on now that's right near break even. You see it's only up by 0.61 pips, right? So it's right near break even, and so I'm looking for basically a 1-to-1 risk reward. Once, let's see here, based on where my entry and my stop is, my first take profit level is going to be way up here. Let's see, so that would be 107 pips, so it would be 0.91468. Yeah, so it would be right up in here would be my take profit level. That's the trade I have on now. I have 2 lots on. I got one earlier and I added to the position, and I'm going to keep 2 lots on. I know it's a kind of a higher risk, higher reward scenario, but I really do like dollar Swiss to the upside. Got to be careful a little bit once we get into the Fed announcement. I do have, the stops are quite far away on these, but I do like the dollar Swiss for a long-term play of 1-to-1 risk reward right now. If you want to look for a little bit more confirmation, when I got into these trades, actually, the 1-hour totals were way up. They were like +7, +8 on dollar Swiss on the 1-hour totals. It's since been selling off, but it's just like the euro dollar. It's just, when we're getting these huge amounts of swings in the, it went to a +7, +8 right in through here, and it actually continued being +7, +8 in the 1-hour totals even in through here. If you want to be a little bit more cautious today, what I would say is, we can still look for opportunities to buy if you're looking for a swing trade on dollar Swiss. What I would do if you haven't gotten in yet, because it has been oscillating, if on dollar Swiss, if it goes to a +5 today on the 1-hour T's, on the 1-hour total, go ahead and put in a buy for that. If you want a little bit more confirmation on it, it's been oscillating just between these levels. I am already in this trade, so I should probably put that out there as a disclaimer. My stop is 0.89328, right below this swing low right down in here. Limit one-to-one risk reward. That's how I'm treating one lot. Since I have 2 lots in on this, since I do have 2 lots in on this, what I'm really looking for here is, if I do hit that 1-to-1 risk reward on that one lot, I'll move my stop to break even on the second lot that I have open. And I may just continue following this one up and see where it goes from there. I think that Swiss does have it within itself to make a long run to the upside. This is one that I did yesterday that was a little freaky to students, because I normally will look for something a little bit more technical to get me into trades. And, sometimes you got to take a little bit of risk if you have a feel for something. But I really do like this dollar Swiss to the upside. One of the other things that we were looking at the other day on dollar Swiss, if you recall, is I was looking at, and here, let me zoom out a little bit on this chart. You remember we were looking at this resistance level right in through here? And I told you the other day, if we can get a break above this resistance, then, maybe put your stop below this low and look for a nice run to the upside. Well, obviously, you'd have taken a trade like that, and you would have been in pretty good shape as far as the dollar Swiss goes. If you would have taken that break through resistance, put your stop below this low. Since then, it's obviously, and it went up about 300 points. That speaks for the volatility on the Swiss pair right now. It went up about 300 points, and now has been kind of consolidating sideways. But I still really like that from a long-term perspective of looking at the Swiss, because they even had a news story this morning that, like, this, they're compensating workers there because of the Swiss strength that's hit the market. Compensating workers over there. I mean, it's just been kind of crazy what's been happening with the Swiss franc. And I really like the idea that, as we break through these levels, you see how this came up and hit off. Remember that other resistance level? This was the dead cat bounce from that big swing down. That's where it hit off. If we can make a further sustained break above these levels, see this upper resistance line right in through here? If we can make a further sustained break, how far up do you think the Swiss can go? My opinion, I think it can go up pretty freaking high if it can go through here. One of the great things about PitView is that we can use the pair view to let us know when the market makers are coming in and actually favoring the buy side of the equation on the dollar Swiss pair. So as far as, I know we generally like to go through some scalping in the markets, but I this is one that I really like from a long-term perspective. So I'm going to keep that one in as kind of our swing trade. So on dollar Swiss, I'm going to kind of take off the scalping strategy. I got the wrong chart up on here. And just keep an eye on that. If it goes +5, remember the dollar Swiss can move. It's been moving an average of 1 to 200 pips each and every day. So it's a mover and a shaker. Print screen. Put that on there. And I'll clean these up before I mail them out. Let's take a look at where our euro dollar's at real quick. All right, we should be good on the euro dollar. I would say go ahead and take that sell trade. As long as it's below here. We can look for a close. Let's see here. Wait one more minute. We can look for a close. But it probably is not going to come down by that much. There we go. Let's go ahead and sell one of these bad boys. I'll treat this as kind of our scalping strategy here. I'm going to put my stop 1 pip above this high. So we'll take this as a scalp trade. 1.13565. So we sold euro dollar. Let's see, put my stop in at 1.13565. And let's see, where was our entry at? Our entry was at 1.13178. So in this case, we're risking 38.7 pips. I believe that's what that comes out to. Yes, 38.7 pips. So we need to put our take profit 38.7 pips below. Which would put it at 1.12791. Okay, there we go. Now keep an eye on this one. I'm kind of doing a hybrid trade here. So we'll keep an eye on the 5-minute totals. We're already up about 4 pips there on the euro dollar right now. About 30 pips here for the day so far. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Now that it's, you see how now that it's broken through that support level and given us, a little bit of room to go. Here's that support level we were talking about. It's see how short the candlesticks are, and then all of a sudden it breaks through support, and it's making a little bit more of a gainer there to the downside. So this one might take a while to come to fruition as far as, profit or loss goes, but I just want to, we'll give this one some time. If it goes to a +20, we consider taking it off and waiting for another -20 to come into play, depending on where we're at. But we'll just keep an eye on that for now and see where we're at. See where we're at by the end of class. There we go. Get a drink of coffee here real quick. All righty. Let's go back to dollar yen and see what's shaking with that. So this is still coming up quite a bit. Dollar yen should be under some well bid pressure. Has some nice bids in here. See how the 1 hour total is rising a little bit. Where did I get in on that? 117.901. So I'm down like 8 pips. Where did I? Still trying to figure out why that trades in. I've got a little 50 pip stop in there right now. I could probably move that up, 117.533. Markets look like they're coming up a bit, so we'll keep that one on there. Take a look at it. For you, you'd probably want to wait for this 1 hour T to go to a +5. Your other option, somebody just asked the question, instead of looking for a +5 on the dollar yen, can I look for just a +20 on the 5 minutes? You could do that also. Only on swing trades, since we trade our swing trades off the 1 hour time frames, generally we'll look for a little bit more than that. We'll look for a little bit more confirmation on swing trades. But you could, if you wanted to get in on a +20, I'm already in it. For some reason, call it instructor error. Put up a little 1-to-1 risk reward here. See how that one works out. All right, coming back here, let's see where we're at. Dollar Swiss, recovering a bit. Euro, here's our euro dollar trade that we're in right now. Still oscillating down here at the end. It may find some support there at 113. We'll keep an eye on that a little bit longer. Let's go ahead and switch over to our dollar Swiss also, see what's shaking with that one. Look at that on the 1 hour time frame. It's coming up pretty nice. I'm in good shape on these trades so far. The only mistake I've made so far was that little dollar yen thing that I got hanging down there for some reason, but good shape in our trades so far. Most of you know I'm already long dollar Swiss. You have that option, by the way, of being long dollar Swiss right now. I already got a signal on it. You can see that in my account on one of my lots at least. I'm right at near the break-even point on it. A little bit above by like 8 pips, so not looking too bad there. Short the euro dollar also. That one's still looking good. You can see the euro dollar actually went to a -5 on the 1 hour totals too. So that's looking nice for us right now. Since we're right here at the end of class, the other one I want to take a look at real quick, and here I'll switch it from back over here. I want to revisit this little New Zealand yen. This is another one that I'm kind of considering here. Yeah, see this resistance level on New Zealand yen right in here? We are still at a +6 on this right up in here. This is a tempting one because it's a dollar neutral trade. New Zealand, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, I do kind of favor New Zealand yen or New Zealand, the currency, going into that announcement at 3 p.m. Eastern time. You see it did come up. It didn't make really a close above that resistance level, so we haven't really gotten a trade on that yet. So, we're still kind of hanging on to that. If we do get a close above here, even before the interest rate announcement, if this can maintain a +5 on the 1 hour totals, I'd be pretty tempted to go long on New Zealand yen even before the announcement. Yeah, it's kind of a dangerous situation, but if you were to go long on New Zealand yen before the announcement, you'd want to give yourself, some room to go here. When I'm talking about a swing trade on New Zealand yen, I'm talking about, getting in if it breaks through this resistance, and then looking at this support level right down in here probably as my stop level, and possibly looking for it as a one-to-one risk-reward situation where I'm risking about, it may be well over 100 pips to make 100 pips. Right now, folks, though, since we have had such a good trading week so far, we've actually had a phenomenal last couple of trading weeks. I'm kind of going to leave things with the trades that we have. I'm too on the fence there on New Zealand yen, plus it's coming down anyway. I got my euro dollar trade still in. That's looking pretty well right now. We're up about 10 pips, about 7 pips on that already on euro dollar. Keep an eye on the 5-minute totals. Instead of it going green on the 5-minute totals, wait for it to go to a plus 20 to shake you out of that. Treat it more like a swing trade, if you will. Dollar Swiss is the other one. That's the other trading opportunity that we like for today, and especially dollar yen also is one to take a look at today. It's still in this little consolidation zone in here. I'm already long, but either wait for the 1-hour totals to go to a plus 5. If you want to get in maybe a little bit earlier, you could possibly look for the 5-minute totals to go to a plus 20. But those are our trading scenarios so far. Let's see, I'm up about, dollar Swiss is still making room to the upside. Euro dollar still going down a little bit. I know we're here right at the end of class, so let me just give this a little bit of time to see if maybe we can't get a little bit of room to go, room down here on the euro dollar. Seems to be moving pretty well here. Still oscillating between this little plus about 7 pips or so on that. To answer this question, so let's say if euro dollar goes to a plus 20, okay, we'll close out this position where we're short 1 micro down in here. We'll close it out if it goes to a plus 20, but only if it goes to a plus 20. But we're not going to take any buy trades on euro dollar today just because we're extremely bearish on this little sucker right down in here. So what we would do is if it goes plus 20, if it makes another swing high and then it goes negative 20 again, when I say scalping strategy, we're going to sell it whenever it goes to negative 20. If you're already in a position, you don't want to add to it necessarily, okay? You want to exit if it goes plus 20, and then you want to look to go short again if it goes negative 20 again after you close out the position. So on our scalping strategy, that's the whole point of our alternative exit. We go short when it goes negative 20. We will close out that short position if it goes positive 20. We'll reestablish another short position, look at where the swing high is if it does come back up, if that is what occurred. Obviously, our best case scenario here is, give it another 15, 20 minutes or so and see if this sucker can make another run to the downside. So, we obviously favor, that downside of the equation. So our best case scenario is just to let this thing run a little bit and see if this can't come down near our max profit point. So just have some patience with it. That's about all I have for today, folks. On Friday, we'll wrap up the week, go through some more strategies on Friday morning in our PitView class. Be a little bit more, we never like to give a huge amount of profits back to the market. So as I always say, going into the news announcement this afternoon, they do kind of scream whipsaw with kind of the neutral bias of those announcements. So, maybe be a little bit more conservative here today in your trading. We'll reconvene again on Friday morning's class, and on Friday morning we'll check out the market, see what's shaking on those, and see if there's any other positions to be had here at the end of the week. Other than that, if you do have any questions, again, you can always contact me at steve.nurre@pitview.com. I'll go ahead and write that into the chat here. And I will see some of you, I'll see tomorrow, and most of you I'll see on Friday morning. So thanks for coming in today, everybody. Happy trading, and we will chat on Friday. Thanks for coming in. Bye-bye.